When I first fired up Horizon Shift 81 by developer Flump Studios and publisher Funbox Media Limited on my PlayStation, I calculated it could be a game I would review in small sessions, spanning 10 or 15 minutes at a time. After all, it was an indie, arcade-like shoot-'em-up inspired by the classic 80 games like Galaga that came before it. What I did not realize is that for 4 hours, I would be wrapping up the final levels of the game. Horizon Shift 81 by Flump Studios encourages quick, short sessions with its death respawn mechanic and arcadey feel. However, longer sessions, 20 minutes or more, are regular, and I found my skill set seemed to increase as I constantly found myself with a narrow, timely focus that wasn't as present when I picked it up for 10 or 15 minutes at a time. Before jumping in, Horizon Shift offers plenty of arcade-like customization options, from the screen mode to backgrounds playing in the game's playing field, to the sidebars and even a CRT effect for old-school gamers who want to travel back to the 80s. Once you've looked over these options, it's time to jump in. Veteran shoot-'em-up players are welcome to turn off the tutorial, while beginners of the genre of the game can ease their way in the very first few levels with hints and ways to approach the game. I found these particularly useful even as a vet of shoot-'em-ups, helping me to grasp the mechanics much more quickly than trial by error. Before you even begin, you can also see several modes await you, from the classic arcade with 3 lives to 1 life mode, to a hyper mode in which every successful level speeds up the action on screen. With over 30 levels, progression becomes more and more apparent as a variety of enemies and different combinations fill the screen the deeper you go. Every level seemed to be built on the last few, with a boss arriving every 5 stages to keep things fresh, and to remind you what you were learning during the previous stages. The difficulty spike, even on normal level, was apparent though midway through the 20s, and I found myself stuck again in the 30s as things felt like they were wrapping up. So you will die here a lot. Memorization, luck of power-ups, and skill are required. In fact, power-ups feel useful most of the time, and at times even optimal or even optional. Although several times throughout the course of the game I did notice the game wanted to channel a weapon change my way that felt obligatory to obtaining success and clearing that level, even if I didn't want to. This of course is a minor gripe, but it doesn't feel as rewarding as being able to stick to a weapon I really like, knowing that I need to swap it out for one I do not because it changes the movement speed of my ship, or that it will decimate the enemies twice as quickly or in a certain pattern. To further entice you to move around the screen, there are point drops that will also fall from both sides. There are aliens to be saved, and of these of course reminded me a lot of Housemarque's Resogun, although via a simpler system, and the biggest appeal of the game, the ability to flip sides. Of course, the rescuing of aliens will reward you with a bonus level before each boss as well. As far as controls, they're mostly tight, and I found playing with the analog sticks to be a bit of a challenge, so I switched over to the D-pad, and this is where the strength of the game relies on being able to switch back and forth between horizons. D-pad movement feels much more fluid, and you're less likely to move left in diagonal or left than on up and down than you are on a D-pad. In fact, Horizon's biggest strength also comes from the chaos that ensues during a great run as you flip back and forth between the top and bottom of the horizon line to attack enemies coming at you from both sides. Here the game opens up as you do not always have to remain aggressive on both sides, but will need to at times to stay alive. Of course, not all enemy attacks filter through the horizon line, and it is key to solve those that do so that you can flip back and forth between safety and know when to play one side of the line you are looking to survive over score. Now, of course, if you're going for a high score, you're going to want to jump back and forth as often as possible. I found this especially true as I got to the later levels that I often knew that death meant going back 4 or 5 levels, and I didn't want to risk that because I had not hit the boss checkpoint yet. As a whole, though, Horizon never outstays its welcome. Just when you feel like you're encountering every enemy type and every combination possible, the game begins to wrap up, allowing you to go back and change the difficulty, try another mode, or improve on your score now that early levels will present much less of a challenge. Combine its short, quick playstyle with a desire to achieve a higher score or to make it to the next checkpoint, and you've got a recipe for a game that will zap away your day faster than a centipede in space.